Okay, so you want to open a McDonald's. Honestly, not a bad instinct. You'd be buying into what might be the most proven business on Earth. The Golden Arches are recognized by more people than almost any symbol on the planet. The system is so refined that a teenager can produce an identical hamburger in Boise and in Bangkok. And the demand already exists. You don't have to convince anyone they want the food. In a world where most new restaurants fail in their first few years, you'd be stepping onto a machine that already works. So you look up the franchise fee. $45,000. That's the number everyone quotes. And it's real. But it's also the least important number in this entire business. Because the franchise fee tells you almost nothing about what it actually costs to get in, how the money actually flows, or how the people who do this well actually build real wealth. So let's walk through all three, honestly. Let's start with what it actually costs. The total investment to open a traditional McDonald's runs between roughly $1.5 and $2.5 million. That covers the equipment, the seating, the kitchen, the signage, the physical guts of the restaurant. But here's the first real requirement. Of that money, McDonald's wants you to have at least $500,000, and in practice closer to $750,000 in liquid non-borrowed funds. Not a loan. Cash that's already yours. It's a deliberate filter. McDonald's isn't looking for someone who can scrape the money together. They're looking for someone who has already proven they can build and manage capital, because they're about to trust you with one of the most valuable brands in the world. And notably, McDonald's won't finance you directly. You bring the capital through your own funds and outside lenders. That sounds tough, but it's part of why the system is so stable. Every operator in it has real skin in the game. Now, a common assumption is that you pick a busy corner and McDonald's builds you a store there. That's not how it works. McDonald's chooses the locations. They've spent decades getting site selection right, and they don't hand that decision to first-timers. For a brand new operator, the realistic path is usually buying an existing, operating restaurant from a departing franchisee, often somewhere between $750,000 and $1.5 million, and stepping into a location and a team that already function. And before any of that, there's the training. 9 months to a year of training, and mostly unpaid, working shifts in a real restaurant. It's a serious commitment, but it's also the reason McDonald's operators succeed at a rate almost unheard of in the restaurant world. Nobody gets the keys until they genuinely know how to run the machine. So let's say you're in. Now here's the real question, the question you came here for. How much money can you actually make? Start with a single store. The average McDonald's location in the US grosses somewhere between $2.5 and $4 million a year. After paying for food, labor, utilities, and everything owed back to McDonald's, the typical franchisee nets around $150,000 per store per year. For higher volume stores that run efficiently, those figures can climb toward $500,000. Now, on paper, $150,000 on $2.5 million in sales is a profit margin of about 6%. And that number surprises people. It's thinner than most expect. But here's the thing to understand about McDonald's. The 6% isn't the prize. The prize comes from what you do after. Because this is a business almost nobody does just once. Successful operators don't own just one McDonald's. They own several. And McDonald's actively rewards its proven operators by offering them first access to new and available locations. So the real earnings picture looks less like a single store and more like a ladder. One store brings in roughly $150,000 a year, a strong income, and essentially a hands-on management job you own. 5 stores will make you roughly $750,000 a year. And now you're building an organization, not working a fryer. With 10 stores, you make around $1.5 million a year. Now with 20 or more stores, you'll make about $3 million a year and up. This is the level many of McDonald's most successful multi-unit operators actually reach over a career. That's the real answer to how much can you make. One store is a very good living. A well-run portfolio of stores built patiently over years is how McDonald's has quietly created more everyday millionaires than almost any other business in America. Not through one home run, but through a modest, dependable margin repeated across many locations and many years. And here's what makes that repeatable margin so dependable, which brings us to the part most people never learn. McDonald's, at its core, isn't really a hamburger company. It's a real estate company. Go back to 1961, and let's meet a finance executive named Harry Sonborn. In the early days, McDonald's earned a small royalty on each store's sales, and it was barely enough. Sonborn saw a better model and told Ray Kroc the line that would define the company. You're not in the burger business, you're in the real estate business. The idea was that McDonald's would secure the land and the building for each restaurant, and then lease it to the franchisee. So franchisees would pay a royalty on sales and rent on the property, and that rent would become the most stable, most valuable income stream in the entire company. And it worked. Today, McDonald's real estate holdings are worth tens of billions of dollars and make up the vast majority of the company's assets. And this matters to you, the operator, in a very direct way. Each month, you pay McDonald's a service fee of around 4% of sales, contribute another 4% or so to the National Advertising Fund, and pay rent that often runs around 10 to 11% of sales. Altogether, roughly 15 cents of every dollar goes back to McDonald's. Now that can sound like a lot, but look at what you get for it. That advertising fund is billions of dollars a year, keeping the Golden Arches the most trusted sign on the highway, pulling customers to your door in good times and bad. That rail comes with a location McDonald's researched and stands behind. That royalty buys you a playbook so refined that your operational risk is a fraction of what an independent restaurateur faces. For a lot of operators, that trade is exactly why they sleep at night. There's one more thing you need to know, because it shapes how you should think about the whole venture. The franchise agreement runs 20 years, and renewal isn't automatic. McDonald's evaluates your performance and reinvestment along the way. The right to operate, in their words, is earned, not given, and the land itself always belongs to McDonald's. So what you're really building isn't ownership of a piece of property, it's ownership of a thriving operation and a track record that earns you the next store and the next. So step back and look at what this business actually is, clearly and without the myth. It is not a lottery ticket, and it's not a passive investment. It's a serious commitment of capital, time, and hands-on work. But for the right person, someone with real money to start, the patience to master the system, and the discipline to run a spotless operation and reinvest, it's one of the most reliable wealth-building machines in the American economy. You start with one store and a modest margin. You earn the right to a second, then a fifth, then a tenth. And over 20 or 30 years, that steady 6%, multiplied across a growing portfolio and backed by the most powerful brand in fast food, quietly turns into a fortune. The hamburger was never really the point. Ray Kroc's genius wasn't inventing a restaurant. It was building a system so dependable that ordinary, hardworking operators could get wealthy simply by running it well, one store at a time. The question was never really, can you make money owning a McDonald's? It's whether you're built for the way this particular machine makes it. You decide.